Monty, thanks a lot for being here. It's really a pleasure. You are a legend in our database market, founder of MySQL and MariaDB. So it's really great to have you here, and it's also an honor to have a collaboration between Exasol and MariaDB. So maybe let's start talking a little bit about your history. So when you started MySQL, you not just created a product, you created an open source movement, right? And when was the time where you started and that you thought, no, it's getting bigger than I expected? When was that?
I've always been customer-centric. So we are customer using my database product, and they were using that by connecting to our servers with modem. And over time, the internet started to be popular, and then the customer said that we need something the way we can access directly through the new web browser thing. Mm-hmm. And so I created SQL on top of it because I realized that SQL is very easy to embed in web pages. And so this was on top of my almost 20-year-old project. And then we were talking about it in the team and said that now we finally have something we can give back to open source, because we have been using open source tools for 10 years plus. And so the big decision was that no, this we have, actually most of the software was mine. We have created it, we are totally depending on it for living. Can we actually do a living, and what's the risk of making it open source? And that discussion took 15 minutes, where we decided that we are not likely to earn less money by giving it out for free, because we were mostly doing consulting anyway. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have any notion of how big it could be. So, and that's also why we chose a license, dual licensing, where basically said that you can use it for free, but if you use it commercially, then you have to buy a license, $200, or get a bad conscience. And most people paid. At least really most people paid. But that simple license allowed us to expand from 96 to 2000 to a company of 15 people. And then we went to started to use GPL, which was hard because we didn't know that. Then we couldn't tell people that they should pay. Mm-hmm. But so we did lose a big part of our revenue for 2 months, and then we were cash flow positive again. But the whole thing was that give something out and find a way so we can work full-time on doing open source. Because we didn't want to do open source like most people did back then, do it in your free time and not getting paid for that. We wanted to do it full-time. Mm-hmm. Hope that answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you of course you created an amazing product, but then how did you achieve to create that momentum in the field? So did you just put it out and then it developed, or had you invest time and the resources into the community? How did you foster that movement?
So we did release it, and back then there were only one with a database that was used on the internet, MSQL, and but that was very limited, didn't have an optimizer or proper indexing or anything. So it was basically doing table scans and a little bit more. So there were kind of a gap and in database for the internet, and the big guys basically said that this is just a fad. We don't need that. So basically open field, and what I did was we did release it. We made it compatible for the MSQL clients, and basically took off. And then I spent the next 5 years writing documentation, enhancing MySQL, ensuring that every single email regarding MySQL was answered. So during the first 5 years, I spent wrote about 30,000 emails just helping people.
Oh, wow.
And Postgres didn't exist in the beginning. It did come some years later, but the Postgres developer was very protective about the email list. So they didn't really welcome newcomers and everything else. So we had a big advantage of a Postgres back then, just because we had much friendlier culture. I spent a lot of energy to ensure that people didn't have flame wars on the email list and things like that. And if somebody started to be obnoxious, I contacted them and said that here's the rule: if you, I'm happy to have you part of our group, but then you have to behave.
Mm-hmm. So that's how you created probably fans and the community started.
And after 1 year, other people started to also answer emails and everything else. So I had more to monitor and only answer the real hard questions. And I also ensured that if something a question come up twice, I ensured it was also in the manual, so I could just tell people go to the manual. So it grew totally organically. We didn't have any lawyers, we didn't have any marketing people, we were just programmers. And my partner, David Axmark, which also was one of the founders, he handed over the few legal stuff. So when somebody sent a support contract, he was the one who's reading it. But that was actually the hardest part, because support contracts are not made for single entrepreneurs. You get for somebody paying us $1,000 and they send a 30-page contract that we have to read through. It's basically not really worth it.
Yeah.
But they will handle that part. So I handled the programming and driving the other developers. So 2000, when we took investment, we were 15 people, and then we grow during the time of MySQL until we were bought by Sun. We were around 450 people.
Wow, very impressive.
Yeah.
So
and this was organic growth, except so we were profitable until we took investment. Mm-hmm. And that's why you take investment, so you can grow quicker than you can do normally. So we did all the right things.
And if you look back, was there a moment in time where you said, or at a conference or a number of downloads, where you said, oh shit, that's really getting big now?
We got help that PHP, the creator of PHP, who then became a friend, and he pushed that MySQL to be kind of part of PHP. Mm-hmm. And at some point in time, basically PHP, Perl, and MySQL, we handled 80% of all websites in the world. And that's kind of when the investors started to get interested. Mm-hmm. And it was just before the .com. So, and .com was kind of the best time for us, actually the crash of .com, because all these companies who was doing the internet and buying Oracle and expensive databases, they suddenly, when in the crash, they were without money, they couldn't do it. So a lot of those converted to MySQL just to get rid of these expensive licenses. Mm-hmm. So that was really good time for us.
Wow. So let's fast forward now, talk about a little bit about the combination of Exasol and MariaDB. So MariaDB being one of the most important, successful databases in the market. Mm-hmm. I think 1 billion downloads, tens of millions of installations, so very impressive. In the transactional world, Exasol being perceived as the fastest analytics database in the market. So why did you decide to combine the two technologies together instead of adding the analytical functionality directly into MariaDB?
So we kind of had that with Column Store, but we never had enough resources to do it properly. So we got something that worked good enough for some customers, but not even close to what Exasol can do. And I like performance, and you had the same mindset of like I use the resources you have to do something really exceptional from performance point of view. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a good fit, and I haven't been part of the CDC that we have done, but I have kept an eye on it, and I'm here also to push the envelope a little bit more, as you saw from my slides. Yeah. That's kind of my vision of how tightly integrated we could be. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be the best for the customers, that it would totally seamless. They don't have to have two management consoles and so on.
Yeah, let's talk about customers, users. What do you envision that combination, the so-called MariaDB Exa product, What is the sweet spot of the solution? What is the use cases you can solve with that technology?
Having close to real-time analytical data available gives the customers much more insight in their own business, and they can react, and that's important. And also, currently, most of our customers who need analytics, a few use a column store, but most use some other commercial technology, and they have to move data back and forth, which is complicated and causes them interruptions and pain and everything else. It kind of works, but not good enough. Mm-hmm. And I would like to do something together with Exasol that is good enough.
Yeah. Talking about good enough. So the solution is actually combining the two solutions like in one black box. So the end user is actually, they don't need to care about the integration in the back end. You have developed an integration using MaxScale, your technology as a proxy. And so queries are sent there, and you don't actually need to take care of the whole data sync. It looks like one system for the end user. How did you implement that? So what are the key elements of that architecture?
So we have a CDC server who captures the binary log base that has all the changes in the database and compacts them in a form that is more easily reusable by Exasol, and they will send it to Exasol, so Exasol can have an identical copy of what we have in the normal MariaDB server. You can also restrict to send some of the tables to lessen the load a little bit and not get double storage. And then through MaxScale, MaxScale can help decide that should this query be sent to Exasol because this is an analytical query, or should go to MariaDB for data. And also because this SQL syntax is a little bit different, we have a SQL glot in between who converts the syntax to something that Exasol should be able to understand. But if there's some function that Exasol doesn't understand, in that case, we will then evaluate that in MariaDB. A little bit slower, sometimes a lot slower, but still the user will always get a result. And it will not be worse than what they got without Exasol. So it will be invisible for the users. I would just want to have the integration even better, because currently, with the current solutions, we can't have a store procedures that where some of the data is in Exasol, some data in MariaDB. And if you want to just move any application to use both MariaDB and Exasol, you want to be able to handle store procedures too. So my vision is to solve that also.
Yeah. So the goal, as I understood also from your presentation, is real-time intelligence, right? It's combining both, and the latency actually is between the two systems maybe a second or a couple of seconds, right? It's very impressive. So for the end user, you also explained that you run a query, and then you even send at the very beginning the query to both systems, and then you figure out what is the faster query.
We wait for the result, yes.
Yeah, so if it's more analytical, probably Exasol is a better system. If it's more transactional, MariaDB will return results.
That's the current one, but having the everything inside the server that has more information about exactly what tables are where, we could do that even better.
Yeah, so you're analyzing that and historically look at what's going on, and then you are deciding that automatically. So it's a very intelligent, self-learning system. Let's maybe talk about the business use cases. What do you think? What kind of is it for banks, fraud detection? What kind of analytics do you want to do directly with real-time intelligence, adding on top of the existing MariaDB systems?
The thing is that I want to solve more problems than we can do today. Currently, MariaDB is really good for up to 1 terabyte of data. But even in 1 terabyte data, if you do something that requires a full table scan, then a row-based engine is not the best choice. So I would say that anybody who have more than 1 terabyte of data will benefit of having an analytical engine, just because columnar can give you for a big part of queries that have to access lots of data, and not that there is not that many joins, which actually typical for the little queries. Exasol will give us, or actually the user, much better experience. And I'm all about user experience.
Yeah.
So I think it's more the size, and also anybody who has queries that are slow and are not update queries, they will benefit of it. So we have, according to what I know, there's about 400 million MariaDB installations.
400 million.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of those are in WordPress, but also looking at the sites. So we may be the most used open source database today, except SQLite that is on every phone. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the users will have more data. And one thing you can be sure about in today's world, we will just get more and more data.
Yeah,
And that's why we need a really good analytical engine.
Yeah, which also brings me to the whole disruption of AI. So how do you see that role of the technology for being the enabler, the back end for the agentic AI world of today and especially tomorrow, because that's going to even grow?
So there's not that much you can do in a database per se for AI, except be a really good resource. And you can have vector search, and MariaDB has one of the best vector search that exists today. We are beating Postgres with about 20x when you have lots of users. We're quite proud of that. And after that, you have to need an MPC server to make the AI to be able to access it either through vector or through just accessing it. And then you of course can implement RAG and stuff, but usually those things are better done in the community. So our job is to just create and work to ensure that APIs that users need are there, and what you need from the database and the syntax that you are using, that we are compatible with what the AI will want to use, and have a good MPC server. That kind of the current trend. Maybe things will change, but after all, databases are good for storing data and retrieving data. And I don't think we should try to do too much fancy stuff around it. There are other people who can do that. Let's concentrate on the thing we can do really, really well.
I 100% agree. I think the key purpose is to scale with the demand of asking questions to a database. It's not like becoming the whole AI platform, right? But in that sense, I think that real-time intelligence platform with the combined technologies is super, because it is very, very, first of all, it's combining the transactional questions to the system with analytics, and then it's also very scalable, because you can add more powers, more servers. If it's feeding the AI agents at a scale which is maybe today is not even thought through.
Yeah, and the thing is that what also is true about the modern world is that things change rapidly. You don't know if you next month will have more tariffs from US or another war or anything else that is just disruptive. With having real-time data, you can actually know that as soon as it happens, and you don't have to wait for the next report on everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, there can maybe bad examples, but unfortunately, in today's world, they are real examples.
Yeah, that's right. So, which also brings me to the question about the dependency of the public cloud vendors and the flexibility of also both MariaDB and Exasol being installable on-premise, in the cloud. So where do you see that kind of market trend going? Because everybody thought it's going to be in the cloud, right? But then you have many installations still on-premise, right?
Yeah, I think especially in Europe, I think it's on-premise just safer. And I haven't seen people getting lower cost by going to the cloud. You maybe lose or win by having less personnel, but actually you also need lose then the one who actually can manage the database and get more out of it. So personally, I'm more for on-prem just because I like control. Yeah. And there's lots of banks who think the same thing.
And even if it's not today that you need the control, it provides you the possibility in the future to be flexible and not dependent, right?
But I always had the idea with both MySQL and MariaDB, we should be everywhere. So We try to be on all clouds. We are optimizing for clouds, but we are not only optimizing for clouds.
Yeah, same with Exasol. So if we look into the more distant future, as you said, things are changing so rapidly. But if you think 5 years ahead, how do you see the database market going in what direction? With the lakehouse architecture, with the HTAP, the hybrid transactional analytical databases now getting more traction. So what do you envision in the future?
Currently in MariaDB, we are quite a lot working on both on our cloud, but also on migrating from commercial databases to open source. Because if you look at any trends, all of them say that people want to have open source databases. And so I think there's a lot of things to do that just to be able to migrate easier and ensure that we can actually handle some of the cases that the closed databases has some more features. Because looking at Oracle is a really, really great database. It has lots of features that you don't find in open source. Fortunately, most people don't use those. But there are still people who need those really extra features. And some of those are actually on the analytical side. So Exasol can actually cross that gap together with us.
Yeah.
They say that database is changing the whole time. But looking back from the first version of MySQL and currently we have what we have now, we have a little bit more. We have better optimizer, but all of those are still small steps. The usage of databases hasn't changed so much. The biggest change is that the Internet of Things pushed more data into the database, and most of that is for analytics. But the design of the database hasn't changed. I think the next big change in databases is when you get external disks that is close to RAM speed today. That will change the design of is B3 anymore the best solution and so on.
If somebody now is really interested in the solution, the MariaDB Exa product, so we are still working on the back end, right? The integrations in the final steps. But if somebody is interested, what is the first step to do?
So we already have a working prototype that's actually useful. We have tested it. We have some pilot customers. So if somebody is interested, they can just contact MariaDB PLC, go to the website, and there should be an announcement that you can just click. And I hope that we are working together to get something useful so that anybody can easily try it. And hopefully a week or a month or something, then we can earn something easier to get access to.
Perfect. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Monty.